forensic evidence. Absolutely. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. David Schnipper joining us as well. All right, David, I'll start with you. I know where the defense is going to go here. This is what you guys do, right? You have overwhelming evidence. We all kind of know what happened here, but they're going to say, listen, it was an accident. They were involved in some activity, and it was accident, and he just panicked. And that's why he had to burn the body.
I mean, it's probably the only reasonable, explanation. I mean, from what I understand is she landed at the airport, spoke to her family, took a Lyft and or an Uber to a park, met up with with the accused like 3 a.m. They got him dead to right. His cell phone's pinged there, text messages to the dating app, and then obviously her parts of her belonging, etc. At his home. So, yeah, Vinny, I think that's about the only reasonable alternative. If I'm the defense attorney, something went terribly wrong. It was an accident. I panicked. I freaked out, and I covered it up, unfortunately.
Byron Browne, where do those reasonable alternatives come from in the real world? Do they come from the defendant? Do they say this is what happened, or do the lawyers just kind of make it up?
I don't necessarily think the lawyers make it up. I think you take, and in fact, is what I do. I take the facts that I find hopefully most favorable, or maybe sometimes you don't have favorable facts, so you lean on the least jarring facts that work against you. And then what you do as our job is, I refer to myself as a professional storyteller. So then our job is to take those facts and shift them and shape them into reasonable alternatives. And always you're consulting with your client during this course in time to make sure that they jive with what your client believes or says has happened. Sometimes your client's honest with you. Sometimes you believe that your client isn't honest with you. So you take whatever objective facts that you can and you shape them and you shift them as best as you can in hopes of getting your client off. Sometimes those lead to really powerful arguments, and sometimes they lead to weaker arguments. But if all you have is the weak arguments, then that's what you use.
Yeah, and obviously, and again, we need the criminal defense bar to fight as hard as they can. That is the foundation of our system. Everyone's presumed innocent. But at the end of the day, Eklund Mercy, do you want to know? Do you want to know if you're representing this guy? Do you want to know what really happened? Or do you just kind of look at the evidence and surmise what may have happened?
What I like to do first is remember what team I'm on. I'm defense. I play defense. And it's up to the prosecution to play offense. They have all the resources in the world. They have all the evidence. So I have to make sure that they're playing offense and that they are doing it the right way first. And if the facts don't line up, the facts don't line up. Now, if they can't prove every element of the charges that they are bringing about against my client, then that's on them. That's the first step. Then, if my client has to present a defense, then we'll look at what's available. But first and foremost, I'm playing defense. It's all in the prosecution's court. What do they have? What are they bringing up? What kind of evidence do they have? And then based off of that, then I can figure out what defenses I have. Accident can be used. It can also be, transferred intent. Like there's so much things that we can argue, but until I can see what the prosecution has, it's really hard.
Yeah, well, the defense does have one advantage. You have the defendant who can tell you the truth, right? The prosecution can't force them to do that, but
it's the state's job, homie. It's the state's job to present their case.
I understand that, but you always try to say that the prosecution has all this advantage. I mean, you have one really distinct advantage. You have the accused there who you can talk to in complete privacy and know everything. And the state
has one job. If they gonna present it, and let's see who wins.
We shall see. We'll continue tracking that one. When we come back, the other story that everyone's talking about, big breaking news today out of Atlanta, Georgia. We got two Atlanta, Georgia attorneys with us.